are strange times in Jiu-Jitsu. We have the ADCC, which is considered by many to be the Olympics of Jiu-Jitsu, clashing with a team that prides itself on its ability to get second place. Both of these two are now having a grappling event, and they're going to be doing this on very similar days, so you would have to do one or the other. You can't not do both events. Now, concerning these events, the ADCC has a long history of hosting these prestigious competitions, and the cash prize for these competitions are: for first place you get $10,000. This is different if you compete in the absolute division. Your absolute division means that it's divisions without weight limits. So you can be a 130 pound person competing against someone like 250 or something. There's no scale. Those cash prizes, I've heard, were like 40,000, I believe. So there's a significant difference in doing well in the absolute versus doing well in your normal division. Now, the little metrics of the other grappling event going on is called the CJI. This stands for the Craig Jones Invitational, and it has a cash prize of $1 million. This event also, to kind of put a bad mark on the ADCC, has a $10,001 prize of just showing up. All you have to do is show up for the event to compete, and you get $10,001, which is better than if you had won a division for the ADCC. The CJI came into being because of the cash prize, the poor cash prize given for winners of the ADCC. So why is the ADCC not giving huge cash prizes? Craig Jones is giving $1 million. Why can't the ADCC raise their prizes for winning? The reason is that the ADCC argues that grappling has never been profitable. Every event it hosts has operated at a loss. As these events aren't profitable in ways to, they aren't profitable to host, they don't want to be raising their cash prize because they're not pulling any money in. The issue with this is that the ADCC this year is going to operate from the T-Mobile Arena, I believe, and it's spending a ton of money on other features like its venue and things of this nature. It's spending a lot in those areas, not related to cash payout for athletes. So in those ways, and as to venue, it's willing to make a further investment, but it's not willing to make that investment to the athletes, is the argument of like Craig Jones, is what he's kind of saying, how he's kind of going about this. There is, however, an issue caused by this huge cash event. Namely, when we put in more money into this, it could have the opposite effect of, we're trying to make this super exciting for people, but our athletes might instead play this super conservative. Jiu-Jitsu has always had an issue when it comes to athletes putting some points on the board and then not taking chances ever afterwards. Not taking those risks. If they score the points initially, then they can just coast the rest of the contest. And that's in a big way why ADCC doesn't do well, because it's the jiu-jitsu in particular is just kind of difficult to watch. Judo, for instance, has these high amplitude throws, and you're almost always in positions for those techniques to be employed, and every kind of spectator can understand a guy flying through the air and trying to be landed right dead on their back. Like, that's seen by all as exciting. Jiu-jitsu, on the other hand, it has exciting qualities. These exciting qualities are its submissions. But judo, in comparison to jiu-jitsu, in judo, you have this referee who is not at all a bystander in the contest. This referee is giving penalties kind of all over the place in order to encourage action and to encourage that nature of judo being the throw. The soul of judo is to throw, as John Danaher talks about. The soul of jiu-jitsu, also Danaher, is the submission. But there's no referee or no outside force always encouraging that submission, or at least there hasn't been for the great deal of jiu-jitsu history. If we have this humongous cash prize of $1 million for this CJI event, or the Craig Jones Invitational event, he is thinking that this is going to make it super exciting and everyone's going to be watching, but perhaps that's true. But what could also happen is that the athletes themselves are really trying to get at that prize, get at that huge cash prize, the biggest that jiu-jitsu has ever seen. And in order to get that, they're going to do the strategies that have won the most matches. Those strategies are your conservative strategies, to where you don't go after the submission. You go play by winning points and then kind of sitting back. Now, this event will also have like judges and rounds and things, which is different than jiu-jitsu normally is. And these judges will be able to tell who's winning, who they're favoring round by round. This changes it from, instead of being a point game, to an optics game, and you're just looking like you're trying to win the match the most. You're on top, holding position, and just initiating things. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're seeking submissions. It just means you're like being the dominant party. That's what you're going for. Seeking out submissions exposes you to risk. That submission might not work out. That submission might tire you out, and then that'll put a damper on your next performances. It's much easier to pin someone down and move around on them than it is to try to actively put them away. The difference of that event and what people are going for with the ADCC is that at the ADCC, they just have their prestige on the line. If you win the ADCC, you don't get a bunch of money off of it. From that in and of itself, you might have sponsorship deals and the rest of that kind of stuff. But the money in and of itself isn't the huge deal for them. The big thing will happen afterwards for the ADCC. It's all of the eyes you'll get and all of the notice that'll lead to more seminar opportunities and more instructionals being produced. That is a big deal, and that's what will really, really help you. And as far as those things go, it helps to be like super exciting, to get those eyes watching, to get that notice and attention. For the CGI again, they're competing for money, and money doesn't necessarily mean you take a bunch of chances. So there's two differing little ways the athletes could go about this competition. One can lead to more excitement, as we really want to put on a great display, and the other, at least in my thinking, could lead to no risk taking. But anyways, this has been my thoughts on these exciting times, and I'm very much so wanting to see what all transpires because of this event and these two little back and forth between Craig Jones and the ADCC. But please let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and how do you think all of this will play out. But that's all I have for you today, and take care, and we'll see you next time.